independence fought 2.5 centuries ago.
We stand on the shoulders of giants, people that did a lot of things way beyond what we can imagine today to achieve the world that we live in.
A war won right here in the Carolinas.
It was a very nasty, brutal, bloody business.
A bloody conflict where neighbor battled neighbor.
But it really brought to the forefront, if you will, the minds of everybody, what they'd been feeling, the loyalist versus patriot. Who's going to stay with the king, who's ready to rebel?
And acts of heroism.
Andrew Pickens is the one who convinced Daniel Morgan, let's fight. Let's make our stand right here in Cowpen.
Helped save lives.
I like to tell everybody that the American Revolution may have ended in Yorktown, but it was won here in the backcountry of South Carolina.
And turned the tide of the revolution. This is the story of America, the story of the Carolinas, the story of we the people.
250 years ago, a nation was born. In July of 1776, the Founding Fathers signed the Declaration of Independence, severing ties with Great Britain and beginning the great American experiment that continues to this day. When you think of the Revolution, it's hard not to visualize events like the Boston Tea Party, the battles at Lexington and Concord, the Ride of Paul Revere. But the fight for independence also happened right here in the upstate of South Carolina. At the time, this was the backcountry, the true frontier of a future nation. But the lead up to the revolution was not always a time of unity. Many places across our area were home to loyalists, also called Tories, who supported South Carolina's connection to the crown. Meanwhile, other areas were home to those who backed independence, referred to as the Patriots.
It wasn't this nice little history behind a picket fence, particularly in our state. It was a very nasty, brutal, bloody business, particularly in the backcountry of South Carolina. It was the everyday man and woman who made the difference, who made a choice that we won't put up with British occupation, we won't put up with British cruelty to make independence possible in South Carolina.
Major battles were fought here in South Carolina, including two of the most pivotal victories of the war, the Battle of Kings Mountain and the Battle of Cowpens. Both battlefields are now preserved as national parks. And as Fox Carolina's Anna Arender shows us, people are working hard to ensure the importance of these events are never lost.
Fire!
We stand on the shoulders of giants, people that did a lot of things way beyond what we can imagine today to achieve the world that we live in.
On the grounds of Kings Mountain National Military Park sits a Revolutionary War battlefield in Blacksburg, South Carolina.
The Battle of Kings Mountain, which was fought on October 7th, 1780. Prior to this point, things were not going well for the Americans, the Patriots, in South Carolina. The British Army had come down to South Carolina to try and open a new front in the war. And in a few months, they had overrun the entirety of the state.
Prime and load!
They had captured Charleston, the largest city in South Carolina. They destroyed 3 separate Continental armies in pitched battle.
By the end of the summer of 1780, it seemed as if South Carolina had returned to the British Empire. However, militia men met loyalists right here at Kings Mountain.
They destroyed their entire army. 1,000 men were either killed or captured. And this was recognized as the turning of the tide in the war.
Just over a year later, the commander of the British forces in the southern colonies was forced to surrender at Yorktown.
Hear, 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 how dare he! So we like to say that the road to Yorktown begins here at Kings Mountain.
History is fun. It really is. Learning about your country, and there's so many different aspects of history that you can learn about, even with a battle like this.
Daily, people come from all over the country to step back in time, retracing the stories of their ancestors.
I have, give or take, 14 to 16 Revolutionary War patriots, but in terms of proving the actual connection to them, it's, I think, about 12. There's a couple I'm working to prove brand new service for. I'm in the Daughters of the American Revolution, so that's where a lot of my research comes from.
Hearing about tactics and war strategies.
Back then, the military load might have been 65, 75 grains, something like that. This little measure holds about 80 grains.
And when you come to visit, you can also walk the 1.5-mile battlefield trail to learn all about those who fought and died for our freedom. In Blacksburg, I'm Anna Arender.
Just over 3 months after Kings Mountain, in January of 1778, British forces faced off against Patriots at Cowpens. Led by General Daniel Morgan, militiamen marched through open fields and met their British counterparts, led by Banastre Tarleton, a colonel who became infamous after American forces accused him of killing their men who tried to surrender at the Battle of Waxhaws. Morgan ordered the militiamen to fire 2 volleys before retreating, drawing in the British troops. Meanwhile, a line of trained Continental troops were waiting to fire on the British, with cavalry moving in later. The battle was a much-needed victory for the Patriots and is considered a turning point. Well, General Morgan is now remembered here in the upstate. Morgan Square in downtown Spartanburg bears his name, along with a statue in his honor. But that isn't the only Revolutionary War hero revered in our area. Greenville got its name from General Nathaniel Greene, who was handpicked by General George Washington to lead the Southern campaign. Fox Carolina's Margaret Burnquist has more on the man in this statue.
A 7-foot-tall bronze statue of Nathaniel Greene was originally on the corner of East Broad Street and Main Street, but was relocated to stand in front of the Upcountry History Museum in 2020. It's a place where visitors can learn about Greene's critical role in the Continental victory over the British. Sarah Wright, the education coordinator at Upcountry History Museum, talks about Nathaniel Greene as one of the most respected generals of the Revolutionary War and a talented military strategist. The son of Rhode Island Quakers, he was dispatched to South Carolina by George Washington himself to command the Southern Department of the Continental Army.
He was sent down to the South because the leadership in the South had been so disconnected and often seeing little success. So he was sent down to replace Horatio Gates after his successes in the Battle of Trenton, the Battle of Monmouth, and assisting George Washington in Valley Forge. So he came down and kind of recovered the South. He was quoted as saying, "I will recover South Carolina or die in the attempt."
In 1780, with American morale and resources dwindling, Greene's strategy was to split his small force of Continental troops in half, sending them in different directions, compelling the British Army's Lieutenant General Charles Cornwallis to do the same.
He was a brilliant tactician. He had no formal education or military training, but he had this idea to divide his forces and really run the British into the ground. His strategy was to exhaust people, and he was known for using tactical losses. So he didn't win a ton of battles. He wasn't concerned about that. He was concerned about winning the war.
Then Greene called upon the frontiersman Daniel Morgan to put together a militia to take on Cornwallis between the Pacolet and Broad Rivers. That's where American patriots won the Battle of Cowpens.
It's certainly one of the biggest battles to turn the tide. Without Cowpens, there's no Yorktown. As I mentioned, it's the Battle of Cowpens where Daniel Morgan, Andrew Pickens, and William Washington defeat one of the great villains of the American Revolution, Banastre Tarleton.
Because of his tactics and leadership, the British were driven to continued retreat, which ultimately depleted their strength, securing victory for Greene and his Continental Army.
What he was concerned with was the fight for liberty. He was wanting to participate in the war, even though it went against his upbringing, his religious beliefs, and he ended up doing it in a way that really brought together this idea of the American spirit.
Still to come, the War for Independence created heroes off the battlefield. We tell you about a teenager named Dicey Langston and how upstate students are using music to bring her bravery back to life. Plus, a small-town museum unveiling a big story about its namesake, General Andrew Pickens.
This holiday season, indulge your senses with Next Gen TV. Experience the magic of unmatched clarity with HDR and immersive theater quality sound.
We're looking at rain pushing in Monday night into Tuesday morning.
And discover an entirely new way to watch Fox Carolina. Next Gen TV. More affordable than ever and free to use. Make your next TV a Next Gen TV and unwrap the joy of ultimate entertainment. Visit foxcarolina.com/nextgen to learn more.
Your first alert.
First alert weather day.
The most accurate forecast.
Family can be prepared.
Choose the weather team that gets it right. Fox Carolina First Alert Weather.
Welcome back. I'm Dana Winter. It's a story that feels like a movie. As a teenager, Dicey Langston made a fateful decision that changed the course of a Revolutionary War battle and saved her family. Her memory lives on across Travelers Rest. A monument marks where her home once stood. Her grave is in a family cemetery. And now, 2.5 centuries later, the Greenville Symphony Orchestra bringing a local hero to life, as Fox Carolina's Alexa Urbach shows us.
I just think she's like so inspiring and so brave. She's very determined as well.
Dicey's incredible.
It's also like very cool that she's a female leader in the Revolutionary War.
Dicey Langston, not just a woman of the war, but a teenager from what we now know as Travelers Rest, who risked death to defend her country.
Dicey is a bit of a legend here in TR.
But Langston's legacy?
Before Dicey, I never heard anything about females in the war.
It's still a mystery to most. That's why the Greenville Symphony Orchestra is hoping to make this hometown hero a household name through music.
Music is how so many of us have access to our emotions. The big feelings, those big epic ideas.
Feelings and ideas 15-year-old Dicey Langston likely had one night in 1781.
She was a young girl who had gone to try and help her brother and other soldiers to save them from the British.
After spying on British loyalists and learning of the attack plans, Dicey traveled by horse, foot, and water.
Kind of insane her story was.
Almost drowning twice in the Enoree River before reaching and saving her brother and the rest of the American soldiers.
We need the voices of girls her age from her part of our county to be part of this collaborative process.
So the symphony turned to a group of girls from surrounding schools to help composer Peter B. Kay write an original score about Dicey's dangerous journey.
Often composition is a solitary process, so I myself have never worked in this capacity, working with other people to write music on the fly.
I learned that there's a lot of communicating before even playing the notes.
From Dicey galloping on her horse to swimming through rushing water, the girls matched sound with words, pairing emotion with melodies, then played by musicians.
The way that the music is manipulated to create tension and resolution will be extremely important.
I was surprised by the ideas that they had just on the spot.
The girls not so surprised.
I just feel like people shouldn't underestimate anybody, specifically younger women.
10th grader Lucy DeWeese, a descendant of Dicey Langston, says the piece strikes a personal chord.
I just love the cello part for most of it. It has a lot of anxiety in there.
The new composition strung together with history and heroism, facilitated by a group of girls just as daring as Dicey.
I think it gives them hope that they have the ability to rise to the occasion even though they're at a younger age.
Proving where words fail,
if you can hear something, it really resonates with you emotionally.
Music speaks.
She inspired me to go after everything I want with that same sort of tenacity that she had.
A tenacity and courage that can still be heard 250 years later. Alexa Urbach, Fox Carolina News.
Dicey's legacy will soon be on display in the heart of Travelers Rest. The city commissioned a bronze statue to serve as a powerful reminder of the courage, resilience, and patriotism that helped shape our nation. The names of many cities and counties across our area trace back to the American Revolution. Fox Carolina's Anna Arender takes us to Pickens, where a new exhibit brings its namesake to life.
If you grew up in this community, you grew up knowing this was Pickens County and we were named after a Revolutionary War hero. How Andrew Pickens was at the Battle of Cowpens, a big Revolutionary War battle that turned the tide in this part of South Carolina, part of the Carolinas.
Walls of the new Interpretive Center at the Pickens County Art and History Museum are coated in the script of standout Patriot leader Andrew Pickens, telling the stories of his time in battle.
All throughout the exhibit, there are main panels that are designed in this fashion, and they all include examples of his handwriting that we were able to receive from the Charleston Library Society, which they're gracious enough to give us digital copies of. So this one is entitled With Much Respect because he always signed his name on his letters, which you can see here, with some variation of with respect, with much respect, your most obedient servant, Andrew W. Pickens.
Museum director Nick McKinney is the mastermind behind the space, carefully crafting and curating it in a way to be a springboard for curious minds.
There's a lot of thought and back and forth about what to include, how to tell the story. We decided on a more chronological setup because one thing is the Interpretive Center is in the museum to cover the basics and get you introduced to the story of Andrew Pickens. And the goal is to inspire you to go out into the community, to visit other sites, and to really deep dive and learn more.
There's some historical writings of the commander, the lieutenant that was in charge, complaining because he said that Cherokee children would climb up the walls and it would collapse. And they kept having to build the walls back.
Something Ken Roper is inspired by.
People don't know this about Andrew Pickens, but he was actually captured at the Battle of 96. And the British paroled him. They released him under the agreement that he would no longer fight in the Revolutionary War. Well, they released him and he went home. And then the British and the loyalists to the British cause kept attacking him and his family and his name. He wrote them a letter and said, "You, British Empire, have broken the terms of my parole. I'm back in the fight."
Dueling pistols are among the artifacts once belonging to the general.
Those go back to 1779.
Here you'll also find a cavalry sword and this favorite piece.
It says that he took with him this decanter set on his travels. I'm a fan of bourbon, but I don't know that I would need 6 decanters to travel.
You might get thirsty.
You wouldn't need to leave home if you're going to have 6 decanters.
In recognition of his leadership and courage, Andrew Pickens was appointed Brigadier General on January 25th, 1781.
And museums can be overwhelming for people. You know, when you come into a space and there's so much to learn. And to be able to have a focused area about one subject that takes up an entire exhibit hall. And then the artifacts are specifically selected to add to one section or another and really give them the breathing room to kind of tell their own story. That is my favorite part.
Makes us proud to see that we had people in Pickens County that were forward-seeing and were able to fight for the freedom and for us to be here today.
The fierceness and the commitment that he had to what he believed was right. Through the lens of history, we may not agree with him 100%, but we can look at him and say, and be inspired by the fact that he fought for what he believed in.
In Pickens County, Anna Arender, Fox Carolina News.
The wife of Andrew Pickens is still making an impact on history to this day. Fox Carolina's Alexa Urbach shows us how Rebecca Pickens, brought to life by Carolyn Nations, is teaching the next generation.
People have called me a history nerd. It's a name I love.
And a name this Pickens County native proudly personifies. Every few weeks,
I have to let the day go.
Carolyn Nation leaves this lifetime
and think about what her life was like.
And steps into the 1700s. That's when Carolyn becomes Rebecca Pickens, wife of Revolutionary War General Andrew Pickens, who led the Patriots to victory in Cowpens. But for Carolyn, history isn't just about battles. It's also about the women who fought in their own way.
The revolution was won in the kitchens, in the homes, and with women who were raising children, taking care of cattle.
CEO of the SC250 Commission, Molly Fortune, says no one can do what Carolyn does.
Carolyn is amazing. She is on the ready to tell you anything Rev War, and she is really focused on the women. So for Carolyn to be able to tell those stories from a different perspective that hits home, she's amazing at it.
Stories about feeding troops and facilitating peace treaties with neighboring Native American tribes.
This is one of the prayer fans that they gave Andrew. We were really thankful to have it.
But her favorite stories are the ones she shares with children of the 21st century.
This was the first coloring book that I put together. I'm a firm believer that if you can take an object like a coloring sheet and you can put it in a child's hands, you can teach more children history.
Children like 11-year-old Micah.
I always thought like there was just one tea party.
Who was excited to learn that Charleston had the first tea party, not Boston.
And I learned in the Revolutionary War, the papers got burned. That's why a lot of people do not know.
Teaching kids.
She had to educate the children.
Just one of the ways Carolyn Nation's present intersects with Rebecca Pickens' past. Two women, 2 centuries apart, leaning on faith and love for their country.
There have been times in my life that I have wanted to quit, but the Lord won't allow me to do that because I think He has a job for me to do. If it's just making coloring books and teaching children history, then I've done what I set out to do.
Alexa Urbach, Fox Carolina News.
Muskets, cannons, and costume reenactors are giving South Carolina students a history lesson they won't forget. Fox Carolina's Myra Ruiz takes us to Abbeville, where even adults can learn something new about our past.
With sounds and relics from long ago, about 200 fourth graders from Abbeville County had a blast learning about the American Revolution.
Oh, this is phenomenal for our children. They are engaged. This is hands-on learning, making the standards come alive in their own backyards.
So hopefully it'll be a great experience. It'll be memorable, and they'll learn something. I have learned so much that I didn't know. I didn't know that Andrew Pickens lived right down the road. I didn't know that there was a Andrew Pickens Spring right behind the Opera House.
And the school children met Brigadier General Andrew Pickens himself, or at least one of his descendants, dressed in what could have been the general's everyday clothes.
And he wasn't really a figure who was well known in South Carolina history when I was growing up. He was one of those unknown generals.
But he was a major force in several battles and helped turn the tide at the Battle of Cowpens.
The Continental Army didn't have enough troops to actually fight the battle. When Pickens showed up with about 500 men from the militia, and then they had enough people to be able to stop and fight.
Pickens also had a special bond with the Cherokees and even learned to speak their language, according to another one of his descendants.
And he was capable of drawing up treaties and all with the Cherokees and all, and they give the settlers quite a bit of land and all.
The children met Betsy Ross.
So the 13 stars on the flag, her flag, represent the 13 colonies, and she was contacted by General Washington at that time to make a flag for our soon-to-be new country.
The living history lesson gave the kids more to consider.
Well, you know, we want to teach them that there are Native Americans here for centuries, long before there was any kind of European settlers.
Native Americans who taught the settlers a thing or two.
And the Cherokee Indians were actually in Abbeville, so some of this medication was things the Cherokee Indians did. We have different herbs over here.
Life wasn't always easy back then.
So, if you're in the 18th century, one of the worst diseases you could possibly get was smallpox.
Not everyone had a basic education.
Reading and writing was a special skill. It was taught mostly to young boys. During that period, young girls did learn to read and write, but mostly young boys. If you learned to read and write at an early age, your station in life was greatly improved.
And the toys children had were a lot more simple. simple.
Now, they wouldn't use marbles. You know what they would have used?
Wood.
Rocks, wood, anything they could find.
The kids are just loving it because you can see how quiet and in control they are. They're not wigged out. So, and they've never seen any of this, you know, all these artifacts. And the cannon, of course, is a huge draw.
The command is make ready.
Make ready.
And the call to action set many into motion, echoes of a time when American was a new identity. In Abbeville, Maya Ruiz, Fox Carolina News.
Months before the Declaration of Independence was even signed, a Patriot victory would take place in what's now Simpsonville. Fox Carolina photojournalist Rachel Golden takes us to the battlefield off of Fork Shoals Road for a special dedication.
From where we are, right here, southern Greenville County, Fork Shoals Road, there was only one battle that's ever been fought in Greenville County, and that was right here at the Battle of the Great Canebrake. And it is cold. Loyalists who were camped here started burning the cane for warmth. And when cane burns, the chambers expand and pop. And it sounds like a battle's going on. The Patriot force, they surrounded these hills surrounding this canebrake that was here. Before the encirclement got complete, sentry shots rang out. The element of surprise was lost. During this battle, which really only lasted about 15 minutes. 70 surviving loyalists from this battle escaped. 130 of them were captured. It was an overwhelming Patriot victory. This battle quelled loyalist activity in the backcountry.
South Carolina is where we won the war. It wasn't perfect, that's for sure. The ones that were won was the ones that made the difference.
The Sons of the American Revolution have been the driving force behind getting this monument created. And it's a way that future generations are going to know that this is where the Battle of the Great Canebrake occurred.
Fire! Being here on the site where he fought, my fifth great-grandfather, it's kind of special. It's a tingling inside. It really is.
I know that you've heard everyone say thank you for your service. So when I put this uniform on, I'm thanking my Patriot ancestors for their service, because we would have not been around if it would not have been for them.
Hopefully this will inspire the next generation. It's kind of like passing the torch to them.
Still to come, the Greenville landmark that got its name from a controversial frontiersman. Plus,
I mean, no matter what the information is or whatever happened, it's still a part of who we are.
Surprising stories about South Carolina's role in the Revolution.
Whatever you're into, Access Carolina is your guide to the best our area has to offer. Upcoming shows, must-try recipes and restaurants, family outings, DIY inspiration, or outdoor adventures. Watch Access Carolina. We'll help you plan your weekend with a world of fun right in your backyard.
Join host Margaret Burnquist as she highlights the people, places, and events that make our area special. It's all on Access Carolina, weekdays at 10 a.m. and noon on Fox Carolina.
Before you head out the door, Fox Carolina First Alert Traffic is here to keep you informed.
Including heavy traffic on the northbound lane and southbound lanes.
Chris Scott gives you the latest live traffic information to help you know what to expect.
South 85 and North 85 very, very busy.
Don't let traffic slow you down. Stay informed with the traffic conditions that could affect your drive.
Again, traffic heavy on the north lane.
Fox Carolina First Alert Traffic, keeping you updated on the road ahead.
The founding of the United States was complex, shaped by diverse people. A South Carolina group called SC250 is bringing history to life across South Carolina, inviting us to reflect on our past and our future. Fox Carolina's Anna Arender takes us back to one of their special stops at the State Fair in Columbia.
sign your name, and then I give you a sticker. Sign your name on the Declaration of Independence.
Signing the Declaration of Independence. It's been interesting. People are like, oh my God, yes. And then some people are like, I don't know. So they embody how somebody may have felt then as well.
Molly Fortune is the CEO of SC250 and a big voice in bringing a creative retelling of history just like this to all 46 South Carolina counties.
You take the nail, you give it to your customer, and she goes wild.
Oh, wow. To see people engaging, that's been huge for me. They're realizing that history isn't just linear. It's not just dates. It's not just battles. It's people like them every single day that get up, feed the dog, take the garbage out, and then they picked up a gun and they went and they fought for their freedom.
Putting you right back in the shoes of a patriot. Learning something you never knew.
I learned that Francis Marion is also known as the Swamp Fox. I learned that the fake cannon was used to for the enemies to think that they were shooting cannons, but they really weren't. They were hollowed out wood.
Native Americans were fighting against each other and with each force. The role that free and enslaved played was immense. And that loyalists and patriots literally came from the same family.
Cousin Mary, why are we so disagreeable with each other?
All while understanding in that time, it wasn't a celebration of freedom or liberty and justice for all.
I mean, no matter what the information is or whatever happened, it's still a part of who we are. And so it's important for us to gain an understanding of the history so that we're able to teach future generations as well as to become informed ourselves as who we are as South Carolinians, no matter what ethnicity we represent, no matter what. It's just who we are. It's a part of all of us.
For Arnetta Houlihan, volunteering for SC250 is her part.
I needed to be here. I'm at the table. My skin is brown. I'm darker than you, but I want to be at the table. I want you to know I'm at the table. And when I open my mouth, I want you to know that I want to be at the table.
Recruiting the next generation of powerful women to be at the forefront of future conversations.
Every time I open my mouth and talk to another lady about South Carolina 250 Revolutionary War, they wonder, and I don't have anything to do with that. I said, yes, you do. You just don't know the history. Once you learn something about it, then you'll know that we were there. We were there. So why should I not be concerned about where my forefathers used to be and what happened to us?
She says when you're willing to sit and listen and ask questions, that's how we move forward together, creating a better tomorrow.
My wish is that we would have more love, more peace, more ability to get along with each other and to accept everybody else's opinion. Your opinion might not match my opinion. You might not like what I like, but we should be respectful enough to honor those opinions in the way that we feel about each other.
In Columbia, Anna Arender, Fox Carolina News.
A National Historic Site in Greenwood County sends visitors on a journey to the 18th century. Historians say the first battle at 96 set the tone for the Revolution in this part of the upstate. Fox Carolina's Maya Ruiz takes us back to 1775.
Like signals on the battlefield, the fife and drum guided visitors back in time.
We're commemorating the first land battle that happened in the South during the American Revolution. So that was on November 19th, 1775. We're here to tell the whole story of what happened at 96 National Historic Site and in the Southern campaign of the American Revolution.
Present. Fire.
250 years ago in 96 came the first known Patriot casualty in South Carolina.
Fire.
After Loyalists attacked a makeshift stockade.
Patriots had gone and raided Loyalist strongholds and other things and gathered gunpowder and some other very important things. And the British and the Loyalists knew about it and they came to reclaim it. It was a big fight. It was the first big sort of major clash out here in the backcountry. But it really brought to the forefront, if you will, the minds of everybody, what they'd been feeling, the Loyalist versus Patriot. Who's going to stay with the king? Who's ready to rebel?
Each person comes into wars and battles for their own reasons.
To the right about, face.
I think the main thing is to protect their homes and their ways of life. 4 years before this first battle had started, my ancestor had just received a land grant from the King of England for 450 acres. So his loyalties were with him.
Other reenactors portrayed patriots. This one's a descendant of Andrew Pickens.
Not the famous Andrew Pickens, but his first cousin, also named Andrew Pickens, who was a soldier under his first cousin.
He's retracing his roots with the whole family.
I wanted them to learn their history and their own family history and how the Lord has worked in our lives collectively.
This can get you in trouble if you don't do it right.
The hardships and daily disruptions of the American Revolution were not lost on 8-year-old Noah.
If I was back then, I would think it would be like terrible since like it takes a long time to get water and stuff. The hardest thing I would think of, having to get food. There weren't any animals close to there. They didn't have a lot of food.
Law enforcement looked different back then.
They weren't like cars, they were horses, and they didn't have like guns and stuff. They had like little swords.
And then there's the way weapons worked.
Today, you have like machine guns, but back then you had like running guns with ammo and not like little pellets like they have today.
Back then, the militia on both sides often wore their own clothes to battle.
You don't get to see those uniforms very often.
It's a great place to come. It's wonderful that they do this so that they learn. But they don't teach a lot of things, go in depth in a lot of things in history.
The dynamics of the revolution were complicated, especially in '96.
This is a very strong loyalist area throughout the war, actually. So kind of in the middle of the hornet's nest, if you will.
But like the shrill of the fife and beat of the drum, what ultimately happened seems to resonate the most.
They fought for this country so the British wouldn't be able to take over.
In '96, Myra Ruiz, Fox Carolina News.
In the wilderness of Paris Mountain, not a lot has changed from the days when this land was home to the Cherokee. A rich, fertile place with water and all the resources necessary to sustain life. It's exactly what the first settlers were looking for, including Richard Paris when he made a home in the upcountry frontier. That is now Greenville.
The New World for so many people was a land of opportunity, and Richard Paris was very much about capitalizing on those opportunities.
Sarah Wright, the education coordinator at Upcountry History Museum, says Richard Paris was very successful in trading.
His legacy is that he is that first person of European descent to settle here. He worked with the Cherokee. He had one of the better trading relationships with the Cherokee, but he still wanted something from them. He wanted that land.
Richard Paris came here with his Irish merchant parents. As a 10-year-old, they settled in the colony of Virginia. He later began trading and eventually made his way through the Carolinas.
The Cherokee were here for centuries before Richard Paris, and they lived on this land, including Paris Mountain, well before he was here to give his name to that piece of land. And that natural area that you see in Paris Mountain or Caesar's Head, that is similar to what it would have been like for the Cherokee people.
I wanted that land to make my mark, and I didn't want anyone else to get it. About 200,000 acres those Cherokee gave, bartered or sold me. I was able to set up the first grist mill and the first lumber mill along the Reedy River, and prepare it for the wave of settlers that I had recruited from Virginia and Pennsylvania.
Paris was given a Cherokee woman to wed, which helped him exploit a loophole in the treaty that made it illegal for Europeans to buy Cherokee land.
He already had a wife of European birth who he had a daughter with, but with his Cherokee wife he had a son named George. And George Paris purchased land as a Cherokee man and then was sent by his father to Britain to petition for British citizenship. Once he achieved British citizenship, he sold that land to his father.
So I got it all back. But even so, a lot of people didn't like it and called me a scoundrel.
That land now is most of downtown Greenville. So he actually built a large home right where the Grand Bohemian Hotel is now.
Always in search of a favorable situation. Paris might have wanted to join the Patriots at the beginning of the Revolutionary War, but he became a loyalist.
The Cherokee were also on the side of the British, and he goes on to serve as an interpreter and to serve as a militia leader. He's actually captured by Andrew Pickens, and his home was burned down by Patriot soldiers because he had used it as a meeting place for the British.
A Tory captain, Paris was imprisoned in Charleston for 9 months after his capture and stripped of all of his property.
A lot of people don't know his name, and they don't know why Paris Mountain is Paris Mountain, and it is because of him. The spelling is changed, as I mentioned, but he is a part of that legacy that is still here in Greenville County.
A place named for the patriot, Nathaniel Greene, one of the most respected generals of the Revolutionary War, because the Continental Army defeated the British. Otherwise, we might be living in Paris land.
I tell you, it's all about the land. And the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you'll understand how this territory got its start.
Margaret Burnquist, Fox Carolina News.
When we think of the sounds of the Revolution, you might imagine cannons and musket fire, but music was a key part of life back then as well. And on a picturesque piece of land near the Enoree River, Americans fought Americans. Coming up, why the Battle of Musgrove Mill was a turning point.
Because of your generosity to this year's Angel Tree program, thousands of children in our community will wake up to a magical Christmas.
It is amazing when you see communities love on strangers and provide Christmas for a kid that would have nothing.
Thank you for the outpouring of love and donations that made this year's Angel Tree the biggest one yet. From everyone at Fox Carolina and the Salvation Army, thank you.
The music of the Revolutionary War era and its significance goes well beyond Yankee Doodle. From how the music was shared to its role on the battlefield and how it's been preserved, Fox Carolina's Margaret Burnquist opens our ears at a music museum in Greenville.
It was all the rage, and as soon as published music would come out, other people would pirate it and try to get their versions out as quickly as possible.
Tom Strange, curator of the Sigel Music Museum in Greenville, says Americans in the colonies were consuming music and playing on musical instruments just like their peers in England.
It only took about a month to get from England to America, so while the music is still alive and kicking from the musical theaters and such in London, it would be transferred over here and people would start performing it right away.
He says music was experienced in live performances, in public spaces, and in private homes as America started building keyboards even before the Revolution.
One of the first to do it was a guy named John Berendt, and in 1775 he put forward this newspaper notice in the Pennsylvania Packet that said, "John Berendt, joiner and instrument maker, has for sale an extraordinary fine instrument by the name of pianoforte."
With a print of that advertisement displayed on the wall, Strange says no one had seen the instrument until 4 years ago when it surfaced from a private family and made its way to Auburn, Alabama.
We took a look and it was like, oh my goodness, this is actually it.
The John Berendt piano of 1775, America's oldest commercially made piano and a great source of pride at Sigel.
The very first piano ever commercially made and sold in America. That's pretty cool.
The music I chose was thinking of what would have been played, and so what did Americans play? They probably played Mozart and Bach and Beethoven, but it was more likely that they played popular music and dances from the times.
Musician and historian Stephanie Schmidt studies collections of manuscripts that have been preserved through history, playing them just as they sounded back then.
It's something unique because modern pianos all sound virtually the same with subtle differences, but each historic instrument has its own voice, and I can say for sure that there is nothing that sounds quite like the Berendt and nothing that sounds quite like the little American piano.
This little rural piano built somewhere between 1786 and 1790 with a very narrow compass.
He says Americans adapted songs and tunes from England quickly, turning them into rallying songs for independence.
Yankee Doodle is a much older song, but used as a derision against the colonists who picked it up and began singing it themselves as a derision against the British who, they wanted to make fun of.
And on the battlefield, the music served as a means of communication and a morale booster.
The importance of music for the troops was that it had a cadence. It lent a rhythm to what they were doing. It was a way of calling them forward and making sure that everybody was focused on what we were about to do. And so both sides would have had music going on. It was understood between armies that you try not to shoot the musicians. We're only shooting at people that are shooting back.
Now, 250 years later, America is a largely cohesive place with a long, colorful history we can tell across many platforms and instruments.
Now you can hear history. And when you do that, it really comes out, straightforward to you.
Hundreds of years after the Revolutionary War, a quiet patch of woods in the upstate is still shaping how we understand America's fight for freedom. At the Battle of Musgrove Mill, outnumbered Patriot militiamen turned the tide in the South, paving the way for later victories in Kings Mountain and Cowpens. Fox Carolina's Myra Ruiz takes us along the trail where visitors are walking through history.
Details of the Battle of Musgrove Mill are bound in books, but every year...
So we're going to have to use our imagination just a little bit to see what it looked like in August of 1780.
Thousands of people visit the Revolutionary War site near Clinton.
Pay attention where you're walking. Please don't trip.
Trekking through some rough terrain and into the pages of history.
You got to remember, up to 1780, it looks like the Patriots are losing. There's not much victories happening in the South until Musgrove Mill kind of turns the tide there.
Interpretive Ranger Mark Stanford says the Battle of Musgrove Mill came on the heels of two devastating losses for the Patriots.
First at Camden on August 16th, 1780, and then at Fishing Creek on August 18th, 1780. And that kind of pretty much crushed the morale of the Patriot cause.
But August 19th, 1780 bolstered morale when 200 Patriot militiamen came face to face with 500 Loyalist militiamen and professional troops hired by the British.
So here at the Battle of Musgrove Mill, everyone that fought here was an American, Patriot versus Loyalist. One of the oddities of this battle is there's no one commander. Our three colonels, James Williams of South Carolina, Isaac Shelby of Tennessee, Western North Carolina, the Overmountain men, and then Colonel Elijah Clark of Georgia, they kind of shared command.
Colonels also sharing the knowledge that their Patriot troops were greatly outnumbered by Loyalist forces, so they strategized accordingly.
And it's this field that the Patriot colonels choose as their battlefield. They're going to be stretched out in a single line of men. On each flank, over here in the wood line, there's going to be about 20 men on horseback. The horsemen on each flank are going to charge in to attack the British also, kind of spreading the panic.
Historians say the Loyalists had no idea how many Patriot troops were there.
The entire British line is going to halt. They're going to aim their muskets and they're going to fire a volley on top of the ridge.
Muskets that fire less accurately than the rifles of the Patriot militia.
The Loyalist militiamen see the professionals running away. They decide they're also not standing the fight, and they also begin to run away.
By the end of the hour-long battle, 60 to 70 Loyalists are dead, about 70 are captured, and 40 to 50 are wounded. The Patriots experience far fewer casualties, with 4 deaths and about a dozen wounded.
That proved to these militiamen that we could do this at Kings Mountain.
Historians say the battle at Kings Mountain was a major turning point.
Without the battle of Kings Mountain occurring, the victory in the South would not have been guaranteed. Without the Battle of Musgrove Mill happening, though, Kings Mountain never would have occurred.
Revisiting history from the American Revolution from an open field and an open book. Reporting in Lawrence County, I'm Myra Ruiz.
In a city sitting between two of South Carolina's biggest Revolutionary War battles, students are connecting the American Revolution to their lives today. Fox Carolina's Anna Arender takes us inside their classroom, where history doesn't just live in computers and textbooks.
But Melena, what happens at Huck's defeat?
A Patriot victory?
That's right, a Patriot victory. Patriot victory, very good.
In Tim Lipsey's classroom, history isn't just taught. It's everywhere you look.
It's amazing when you think about how much history happened here, particularly in what we call the upcountry of South Carolina, and particularly here in Cherokee County, with Kings Mountain and Cowpens kind of bookend our county here.
It practically jumps off the walls.
Throw that on there, folks.
His passion for stories told and untold starting at an age younger than these guys.
My love of history, I would say, came from my father. When I was very small, he loved history, and so he just carried that right on to me. He would take me to battlefields, and while we were riding in the car, he would tell me interesting stories about this place or that place that we were going, and so he just kind of ingrained in me a love for history, and I just kept that on and developed it. That at places like the Battle of Kings Mountain, if you're a loyalist, which Captain Bruce here is a loyalist, he's going to take a pine twig and he's going to put it in his hat, okay? And then Sergeant Ryan here, all right, he's going to take a piece of paper.
Bringing him here to Palmetto Christian Academy of Gaffney.
What do you know? Patriot victories. More Patriot victories are going to happen here than in anywhere else. And so this is the reason why we say that the American Revolution was won here in the backcountry of South Carolina.
Taking the past off the pages of a textbook.
Now, the people that are fighting here in the backcountry of Carolina are everyday average people. All right, they're farmers who live here in the backcountry.
Bringing it to life for students.
You learn a lot about the people that are here that came before us that we don't remember or know much about, but it's like they influence our everyday lives. Like how stuff we see every day, street names.
It's important about when it happened, and it's important about what happened, but the who of what happened and the why of what happened are the important things that we want to pass on.
His enthusiasm also inspiring new hobbies.
History is a lot more interesting when it's living and it's right in front of you and you can see what was going on back then.
Senior Ryan Rollings took Lipsy's class a few years ago. Now, together, the two take part in battle reenactments. And Rollings making a guest appearance in class from time to time.
Anytime we have anything like this, I'm one of the first people that he calls from school to come and do it because I like doing it.
He says getting the next generation excited about American Revolutionary history can be tough.
It's very important that people know history so they know where we came from and they can appreciate what people did to get them in the place that they are now. So that way nobody's taken for granted what their ancestors or what the people that came before them did so they have the freedoms that they have now.
Including freedom of religion.
One of the reasons we have an American Revolution is because of the Great Awakening that gave everybody an independent mindset. If we can break away from an established church, why can't we break away from our country?
Lipsy says if students get anything out of this class, it's to keep fighting for our freedoms and to think and learn for yourselves. Keeping in mind, history has its eyes on you.
A Patriot victory, very good. Patriot victory at the Battle of Kings Mountain.
In Gaffney, Anna Arender, Fox Carolina News.
Awesome.
Coming up, brushstrokes become battle scenes. An upstate native is turning war history into art that you can access with just one click.
I've always enjoyed being to myself, but this is a different type of myself.
Bring home the win or don't come back.
The decision to extract them is up to you.
I'm not pushing no button.
Oh my God. Attention families, your survivalists are in desperate need of supplies.
Start scheming, boys. I need some goodies.
They're gonna screw over whoever they need to.
You all wanna hate me? That's fine.
My child has not had fire all week.
You're playing a totally different game than we're playing in the wilderness.
Every decision you make, your loved one is suffering in the wild.
Please hit that button.
Oh my God, bro, wake up!
I know mentally she can do this.
Let's go!
Hold on for one more day.
We got fire!
Give me a hug. Give me a hug.
Get the most out of your weekends. From the upstate to the low country, Palmetto Life Weekend explores local eats.
Cheers to you guys. We can't wait to see you here.
Hidden gems.
Today we are exploring a different side of the Midlands.
Inspiring people.
There is life after cancer, and it's a good one.
Can't miss events.
The community's growing. It's growing so much.
And everything that makes the Palmetto State great.
Something really cool happening right here in our own backyard.
Palmetto Life Weekend, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox Carolina.
When it comes to recalling the American Revolution, you can count on Dale Watson to keep his tales colorful.
He was considered a giant. He towered over everybody else.
Watson's work caught the attention of the South Carolina Battleground Preservation Trust and the American Battlefield Trust. They commissioned him to recreate scenes from the Revolutionary War.
They had come up with an idea to do an app called the Liberty Trail app. And we took off from there. So it's been fun.
The Liberty app is designed to help people learn more about South Carolina's role in the Revolution, the battles, the bravery, the people, the places, swiping those details out of obscurity.
A lot of the characters from that time, especially with my portraits, there were no images of them. And so I will find out kind of where they came from in Europe or wherever.
Watson refers to first-hand accounts, other records, and conversations with historians to bring these battles into view.
We'll all kind of back and forth about, hey, how would the scene look good? How can we best show it? Then I'll start out with thumbnail sketches. I'll send those off to the guys. They can look at them, say, yeah, we like this, we don't like that. And so from there, I'll refine my thumbnail sketch. And once everybody's happy with that, then I start my painting process.
This is the Battle of Cowpens, right after American forces repositioned themselves.
They were just withdrawing, they weren't retreating. The Highlanders saw that and charged without any discipline, just wide open. And the Americans abruptly turned and fired right into them at close range. And so in that painting, I'm showing that moment as the Americans turned and fired.
Watson visited the site of the Battle of Blackstocks in Lawrence County before capturing key moments. Here's Bannister Tarleton.
He rode out when he saw Major Money had been wounded, and rode out onto the battlefield and helped him onto his horse and then rode back off the battlefield with him.
And this is Brigadier General Thomas Sumter toward the end of the battle.
And that image is showing kind of the moment that he gets hit.
This shows what happened at Fort Thickety near Gaffney to prevent bloodshed.
The Americans had what was called a Quaker cannon,
aimed at Loyalist forces who were behind a stockade.
It was just a log on two wheels, but it was far enough away that they couldn't tell. And so when they saw that and they saw the number of Americans, they gave up the fort without a battle.
Watson's path to the Liberty Trail began as a child, growing up as a pastor's son in the upstate.
Literally as long as I can remember, I've been drawing, and painting. When I was a real little kid, it was cowboys and Indians, horses.
After high school, he joined the Army and served as a paratrooper. Then at school, he refined his art skills, leading him to an architectural firm. And that's when he realized his talent was extra special.
My ability to kind of see things in 3D, kind of perspective kind of comes easy to me.
And now his perspective will help teach history for generations to come.
I am humbled and honored by that idea.
And as the Liberty Trail app expands beyond South Carolina, Watson will be there to bring life to other battles.
And it's tremendously exciting to just be part of that.
An artist with an eye and heart for capturing history. Myra Ruiz, Fox Carolina News.
When it comes to recalling the history of how our country came to be, it's not just about names and dates.
I believe in history being stories. It's stories, it's not facts.
It's remembering the bravery of those on and off the battlefield, understanding the righteous indignation over threats to a way of life, and recognizing the call for change that brought us where we are today.
History's got to be more than that. It's got to be stories.
And we have enjoyed sharing just a fraction of those stories, 250 years in the making.